So welcome all the devotees for today's second session of Ishopnishad. So we are going to be continuing our discussions on this very important book, Ishopnishad. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat. Nashtaprayashu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So this is a knowledge which is going to bring us nearer to Isha, that is Krishna. So a little summary overview of what we have understood in this introduction chapter which we have read. So page number 1 to 5. So here we have understood that we have 4 defects and so we need the Vedas. Page 6 and 7 is going to explain us that Vedas give universal and axiomatic wisdom. Page 8 to 9 has been explaining us that Vedic knowledge is superior to pratyaksha and anumana knowledge or anuman praman. Then page 10 to 12 was talking about how Vedas has shown that Krishna, he is the only one and that is the real realm. And then page 13, Krishna is the ultimate goal of the Vedas. And then the last 2 pages was about the history of the Vedas and Vedic essence. So this is what has been covered in the introduction chapter, and we'll be discussing it further from further directions today. Om Agyantimirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swa Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamlam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscham Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscham Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So to continue the discussions further, few aspects which have already come in this book and especially in this introduction chapter were about the different kinds of philosophies. So just to add little bit further to what is or what are these 6 different types of philosophies that we are talking about. So you have the Nyaya, which was propounded by Gautama. Then we have Vaisesika, which was propounded by sage Kanada. Then Sankhya philosophy, which was propounded by Lord Kapila. Yoga philosophy, which is propounded by Patanjali. Purva or Karma Mimansa, which is propounded by Jaimini. And then you have Uttara or Brahma Mimansa, which is propounded by Vyasa. So these are the different 6 types of philosophies, but this is not everything. When it comes to we Indians, we believe in different kinds of thought processes as well, as can be seen. So few of us, we do believe in the Vedic philosophy. So we are all Astikas who have the faith in the Vedas. And then there are certain who don't have faith in Vedas. So those who are having faith in Vedas, they are all these philosophers. So amongst that, again for the Vedantis, there are 2 different kinds, Advaita and Dvaita. And those who are having Dvaita, again there's a sub-classification who are believing Achinta Bheda Abheda Tattva. That is, Lord is simultaneously one and different. And this is where the Vaishnava philosophy or Vaishnava culture comes into, and this is coming directly from the Brahma. And that is why we say we are from the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. And then those who don't believe in God, for them we have this Buddhism, Jainism, Charvakaism, those who believe in these different things. So this is how the whole thing has been distributed. And we have to understand that, yes, having faith in Vedas is not only important, but also it is important that we believe in what is the ultimate goal. And that is why the Achintya Bhedabhad becomes the most important. And that is how the progression happens. From Karma Kanda to Jnana Kanda to Bhakti Yoga. So those who are still in the Karma Kanda, they will be believing in Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Those who are having Jnana Kanda, they will be thinking about, okay, there is some need of philosophy. And those who are actually going to the realm of the Bhakti, they would be believing and understanding and reading and actually implementing in the day-to-day life the Srimad Bhagwatam. And this is how the whole process is. Because our defects have to be overcome to reach the reality. And the biggest defect that has to be overcome is the cheating propensity. Then the illusion. Because illusion is something we don't realize it. We have a feeling, but we are not realizing it. And then our mistakes. We do realize that, yes, what we are making, what we are doing is wrong. And then we start taking judgments. And once we are overcoming it, then we understand, okay, we have limited senses only. And then there, far away, different, that's where the reality lies. And what Srila Prabhupada has done is, he has given us actually this way of development. Like Bhagavad Gita, it's giving us the Vedic knowledge, the Vedic wisdom. Srimad Bhagwatam is giving us the complete Vaishnava culture. And then Chaitanya Charitamrita and Nectar of Devotion, which actually make us strong Gaudiya Vaishnavas. And that is why Srila Prabhupada has always been recommending that these are the 4 books which you should study very, very seriously. And that is what we are doing, if you see, every day at 8 p.m. All of us together in this journey. So coming to the Vedas, now Vedas has got different meanings. This is what we have understood yesterday. Now there are 4 different ways in which these Vedas are explained. So those who are having only restrictive vision, they will say there are 4 Vedas, Rig Veda, Yathar Veda, Yajur Veda, this Veda. They will not go beyond that. Those who are having average understanding, they will say it's not only the 4 Vedas, Chatur Vedas, no. This complete Vedic literature, the Puranas, the Mahabharata, all has to be understood. And those who are having expansive level, who want to understand all knowledge, that also comes under the word Vedas. So it is up to us which level we wish to go. Because Vedas means everything. And as far as the division of knowledge is concerned, either we'll agree with pratyaksha and anuman or we'll disagree. But in either case, this transcendental always remains different. This transcendental is something which is far beyond. So pratyaksha and anuman, they'll always disagree. For this transcendental, it can only come through the Vedas. And so we need the knowledge to come through the specific parampara. That is important. So how can we get this knowledge? So we saw that there are 2 ways. Either it could be inductive. So this is particular to general and there's no conclusiveness to the inductive knowledge. Or it could be deductive, where from generalized knowledge, it is going to go to a particular thing, which is Krishna. And that is why Prabhupada ji mentions that it's the second one, which is important. And that is where the importance of Srimad Bhagwatam lies. Because Srimad Bhagwatam is something which is written, documented as a science, as a knowledge by Swayam Narayan Avatar, that is Vyasdevji. So Vyasdevji has taken this knowledge and given us because he could foresee our problems. And that is why it is very, very important. And if you see who all are discussing in this Bhagavatam, so you have Sutta Goswami and Shaunak Adi Rishis. Plus, at many places, Vyasdevji comes into picture. So they are the characters who have started the discussions of Bhagavatam. And actually, Bhagavatam is what? It is a discussion, narration between Shukdev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. Because it is in those last 7 days of life that Parikshit Maharaj wanted to hear. And Shukdevji actually said everything. So this Bhagavatam becomes very, very important. And the knowledge which comes out of Bhagavatam, the practical applications which come out of Bhagavatam are important. And it does not end there. Because again, how we grow further is going to depend on our levels of realization. And what kind of aspect of absolute truth we realize and who is actually seeking it. So if you see the Jnanis, they're understanding about the Brahman. And so they understand the Sat nature of Krishna. So we have already understood, known, we have discussed this even in the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. Krishna is Satchit Ananda. So they understand the Sat nature, Sat quality of Krishna only. The yogis, because they have reached a little higher level through meditation, so different postures, they are understanding or they are concentrating on something within the heart, which is Paramatma. So they have reached till the level of Paramatma, and so they have achieved the knowledge of Sat and Chit. It's only the Bhakta who realizes Bhagwan as it is. And so he gets the understanding of Sat, Chit and Ananda. So it is important that this bhakti, this realization of Bhagwan can be obtained only through devotional practices. And this is where the importance of Ishopanishad lies. So this is something which we have been trained till now. So we have the soul, the subtle body, and the gross body. Soul, so it's something like the routing of the consciousness to the spiritual realm. Surya. The subtle body, so when you're going from soul to the subtle body, the consciousness is not routed anywhere. So it is Shushupati. And in subtle body, the consciousness is routed till the subtle material realm. So it is Swapna. And then you have the consciousness rooted to and through gross material realm only. So that is Jagruti. So this Jagruti or consciousness where we are trying to be today actually has to go to this Turiya level. Then only our knowledge and understanding will become successful. So you have Bhagwan who is at the spiritual realm, and you have Jiva who is at the material realm. So this is something which we have now understood. And because we Jiva need to go to the spiritual realm, Krishna is coming many times as an avatar. So from spiritual realm, he comes to the material realm to help this jiva to understand Bhagavan. He's so kind. This is where our problems actually also arise. See, we need the chakshu, we need the understanding. But how do we get it? Because for absolute truth, we are understanding it in different ways. Parabrahman, Brahma, Paramatma, Parameshwar, Bhagwan, Jagdeshwar. So these are all different words. But they are all regarding to the same absolute truth. So how do we understand that they are all, who is this absolute truth? How do we get that vision? So this is where this blankness, this blank area, because there's a difference here. This I that we are having, we are not understanding this absolute truth. So how do we understand it? The solution is Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. So with the help of a Guru, a Sadhu, and Shastra, we'll get that absolute vision, which will make us understand the absolute truth and come to the conclusion that all these different words are about the same absolute truth. What our eternal position is. Ishopanishad is trying to fulfill exactly this particular aspect. And that is where the importance of a preacher also comes into picture. A preacher has to be responsible. Because whatever is in the tradition, he has to always be loyal to it. So loyalty to the tradition will ensure someone can become a preacher. And this preacher can make a difference to the audience only with sensitivity. So the preacher has to have the sensitivity, loyalty to the tradition, and then the audience can get the necessary impact. So Vedic literature, as we have seen yesterday also, that many a times there are apparent contradictions, true, false, so logical problems. So it all becomes anirvachniya. We don't understand. But then there's another way to understand it, that everything is true. We cannot understand how simultaneously, but yes, and we say that it is achintya. So the moment we change this thought process, then everything in the Vedic literature, even the apparent scriptural contradictions, become easier for us to understand and adjust to. And that is where the importance of Sadhu, Shastra, Guru, Sadhu, Shastra comes into picture. So how does this development happen? So object, if our object is material, vision is material, then we'll only get bondage. And that is what we find in almost all the population. That is why people getting attached to the sense objects. So yesterday, there were so many people who had accident overnight. The hospital emergency rooms were busy with emergency visits because the people were attached to the material world. Their object was material and vision was also material. And so they have been bonded. The moment, even if our object becomes material, but our vision becomes spiritual, then there is purification. And we try to utilize it. Like Srila Prabhupada, on seeing the flatbed truck, he immediately thought, oh, I can use it for Rath Yatra. This laptop which we are using, this internet which we are using, this Zoom which we are using, it's all material. But our vision is spiritual. So all of this is becoming purified. Exact reverse also happens. Like our object may be spiritual, but vision may be material, and that is an offense, which we generally find with the Jewish rabbis. They have idolatry vision only, which is very grave offense, which we have all seen already. And when our object and vision both become spiritual, then it results in, if we are neophytes, purification, and if we are advanced devotees, then we get the ecstasy, bhava bhakti, prema bhakti. The example is our deities, the Vaishnavas. They are spiritual in nature. They are giving us the spiritual bliss. And so on seeing them, we get the purification. On seeing the Vaishnavas, we feel the purification, we feel the bliss, we feel the happiness. That is how the progression happens. But then there are different individuals. So if you are attached to matter and detached from Krishna, then you are a materialist. If you are detached from matter, but you are also detached from Krishna, then you are Mayavadis, as we saw yesterday, Shankaracharya. If you are attached to matter and attached to Krishna, then you come under the Sahajiyas, which we understood during our Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu discussions. And when you are detached to the material aspects, attached to Krishna, then you become a devotee. So that is what our objective is. So the Shastras have been talking about two types of impersonalists. So if you see Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, 24th verse, avyaktam vyaktim apannam manyante mama buddhaya param bhavam ajananto mam avyayam anuttamam. Unintelligent men who do not know me perfectly think that I, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, was impersonal before and have now assumed this personality. Due to their small knowledge, they do not know my higher nature, which is imperishable and supreme. So this is where we have the first kinds of impersonalists. And we have the others, which again is declared in Bhagavad Gita itself by Krishna. Yetva aksharam nirdeshyam avyaktam paryupasate sarvatra gam achintyam cha kutastham achalam dhruvam sanniya indriya gramam sarvatra samabuddhayah te prapnuvanti mam eva sarvabhuta hite rataha क्लेशो अधिकतरः तेषाम् अव्यक्ता सक्तचेतसाम् अव्यक्ता हि गति दुःखम देहवद अभिवर वाप्यते. But those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, the all-pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed and immovable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth, by controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such persons engaged in the welfare of all at last achieve me. For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. So this is where these two impersonalists reside, the Mayavadis and Brahmavadis. So Mayavadis, they are only thinking about that, okay, God is not there, he is something which has come now and is controlled by the Maya. That is why they are doing an offense to the form of God. The Brahmavadis, as explained in these shlokas, they have at least thinking about the Brahman feature. It is difficult for them to go further. Troublesome. But at last, they will achieve Krishna. So it is not an offense to the form of God. And this is where we are always battling. We try to do the hearing. We are all coming here every day at 8 p.m. Few of us, sharp 7:59, most of us are in. So we are doing the hearing, but then we are battling actually. Because hearing is going to give a result to conviction of intelligence. And then there will be engagement in bhakti. But as long as that engagement is still going on, it is still a battle. Only when we grow further and we get the purification of mind, then we'll get this peace and ecstasy. So this being our objective, we'll have to continue with this battle even when we are doing the hearing. And we'll have to fast, get the conviction of intelligence, and very, very fast engage ourselves in bhakti. One of the 64 means or angas of bhakti, or one of the Navvida bhaktis, then only there is a possibility. So this is what this Ishopanishad is going to be explaining us. So why Ishopanishad? Again, this becomes important because if you see, there's only one God. And this is all Vedic culture. Huh? This all is coming from Vedas. And then we have the subordinate gods, that is demigods. So you can have worshippers who are worshipping different demigods. And these demigods, they're giving the blessings. And these worshippers who are making the prayers, they require the faith. So this requirement of faith and this requirement of power to give the blessings, both are coming from this God, the Supreme Personality of God, Shri Krishna. And while we have worshippers who are worshipping demigods, this is where the Vaishnavism lies, wherein the worshippers are directly worshipping Shri Krishna. They are establishing their relationship with Krishna. They are understanding the Isha. And once they understand the Isha, they'll get the benefit. And this is much, much easier. A direct relationship. So the Mayavadis, they'll go or think about the Brahman as the foundational reality, while the Vaishnavas, they will have Bhagwan. So subsequent to Brahman, they may think about Brahman plus illusory form superimposed equal to Bhagwan. But for Vaishnavas, when there is incomplete understanding of that reality, we see Paramatma or Brahman. So it becomes important. Now, to understand this philosophy in detail, to go ahead and be successful, there has been a lot of discussion going. How should we understand this? How should we go there? How should we overcome all the difficulties? Because we don't want to be karmis, neither do we want to be Mayavadis, Asarjiyas, because they are not getting the ultimate objective. They're still going to be coming up and down. So how do we achieve this? The answer lies Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. And among the Shastra, it is said that 4 books are sufficient, more than sufficient. And which are those books? How do we understand it? That also Srila Prabhupada has made it very simple for us. So Srila Prabhupada has been saying, if you want to understand the Bhakti Shastra, and be a Bhakti Shastri, then Bhagavad Gita, Ishopnishad, Nectar of Devotion, and Nectar of Instruction. That is Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu and Bhakti Updeshamrut. These four are sufficient. For a practical life, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagwatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and Nectar of Devotion is sufficient. Now it becomes a little difficult. How do we start? From where do we start? And that is where Prabhupada ji gives us a solution as well. For Shruti, he says Ishopnishad, Smriti, Bhagavad Gita. And from Nyaya, we have to read the Bhagavatam. So the four books are enough. Bhagavad Gita will give us the Vedic knowledge. Srimad Bhagwatam will make us a Vaishnava. And Chaitanya Charitamrita and Nectar of Devotion will actually make us Gaudiya Vaishnava. So Sadhya and Sadhana. Sadhya means Krishna and Sadhana means Bhakti. It is established through Bhagavad Gita and Ishopnishad. And Sadhya and Sadhana are explained through Nectar of Devotion and Nectar of Instructions. And that is why you will find that this weekend series is something which we started because we already had been coming up and understanding Srimad Bhagwatam at 8 p.m. We have already completed 8th canto. We are into 9th canto in Srimad Bhagwatam. So having understood what is Krishna, it is also important how to serve Krishna. The sadhana. And so we started off with the Nectar of Devotion. And now after Nectar of Devotion, we are understanding Ishopnishad because this sadhana and sadhya both can be established through Ishopnishad only. That is where the importance of Ishopnishad comes up further. We have already seen yesterday how the Ishopnishad verses were spoken, how it is a part of the Taittiriya Upanishad, and how it is important or where its importance lies. So, just wanted your little attention on this one particular slide. Just open this. Because this is where the whole summary comes into. So, you have Rig Veda, you have Yajurveda, you have Samveda, and you have the Atharveda. So, among the Rig Veda, you have the Aitreya Aranyak and then you have the Sankhya Aranyak. So, this is where the Upanishad within this Rig Veda, the Ishopanishad comes into. So, we saw that there are two stories behind it, that of the sage and that of Manu. We have seen how Manu, who was doing austerities, who was doing penances, was about to be eaten by the Rakshasas. But then he prayed to Lord Yajna. And he came and killed the Rakshasas and thus saved Manu. the prayers which he was giving, which he was speaking, were these Ishopanishad prayers, the mantras of the Ishopanishad. So when we are starting these in details from tomorrow, next session, you have to take it very seriously. These can be very, very helpful to all of us. The Vedas are like mother. So we have to believe in them. And once we believe in them, once we believe in the Vedic injunction, then there should not be any difficulty. Because otherwise the four deficiencies of committing mistakes, being illusion, cheating propensity, imperfect senses will never allow us to succeed. The other story also which we saw was about sage Dadyan, who was son of Atharvana. So Dadyan, being very selfless, pure-hearted, he wanted to understand about the absolute truth. And when he approached his father, Atharvan, that time he spoke these mantras. And these are the Ishopanishads. So Ishopanishad is going to define the five tattvas or truths, which is Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, and Karma. So this book is going to make us understand about God, ourselves, that is living entity, the material nature, the time, and work, karma. So all this has been mentioned in the introduction lesson, which I'm sure you would have already read yesterday. I have shared the Google Drive links. If anyone has not been able to download them, do let me know. I'll share them again.